I am such a big fan of tests which challenge me, which tell me what my skill level is. In martial arts, it's a little difficult sometimes to find appropriate testing to see how you're doing in your strength, your flexibility, your martial arts skills in general. Many times it's just people go, oh, okay, I'm gonna go into a belt test, or I'm gonna face off against an opponent and fight. But in those scenarios, you don't necessarily get to see, are you at the level which you should be to be pretty darn good. Today I'm gonna give you some tests which you can follow along with and see how you're doing. If you can't do these, make sure you train them so in a month, 2 months, you actually can. I am such a big advocate for defense, being able to defend yourself safely, intelligently. I believe that turns you into a better fighter, not only from the defensive aspect, but from the offensive aspect, because once you're strong here, then you have the confidence to start unleashing those shots, which you work all the time. My defense course is now available for early bird pricing. That's only for 2 more days before it goes to the regular value. What you guys can do is head to the link in the description below and check it out. We're gonna have 5 sections. Each section will contain multiple videos. We're gonna have lives where I sit down and I talk with you, assist you on any questions you may have through this course. This is gonna be so full, so comprehensive. It's gonna give you a chance to learn different styles of defense, and it's not just for kickboxing. We're gonna have elements in here for Muay Thai, MMA, and even boxing. It's gonna be one of a kind. Click the link in the description below and get your early bird pricing now. Okay, I'm testing out the body, seeing if it's ready for a high level of martial arts. First thing I wanna do is take you through 30 seconds. Now let's go 60. 60 seconds of warming up the body. Whip those arms backwards 3 times, forwards 3 times. We don't wanna go into these things cold and loose, because, well, loose is, I guess, is okay. We don't wanna go in cold though, and not warmed up, because you might hurt yourself. I know that I could hurt myself. I get those arms stretched out. Couple little lunges forwards, just pause at the bottom, push the hip forward, lift out. Other side, push the hip forward. Swing each leg out 3 times. Other side. And then 1 big push to a straddle stance. Push those knees out as wide as they will go. And that's about 60 seconds. So here we go, first test. First test which you guys can go, oh, am I flexible enough and am I strong enough in this case? Hands are gonna be out in front, legs are gonna be about double shoulder width. We're gonna go to the stretch position that we often put our hands on the floor when doing, but we're not gonna use the hands. Can you go from side to side? Hold right there, push out. This is kind of like doing a squat right here. You have to lift yourself, but you need the flexibility as well. Otherwise you're gonna be locked in here and your head's gonna be tipped forward. So if you can get your back straight, sink the weight over the heel, not have that heel off the ground, that's bad, and then push to the other side. This is a good indication that number 1, you are quite flexible, and number 2, you are strong enough to lift your body weight, primarily off 1 leg. Great first test for you guys to build up on. If you can't do that, number 1, of course, start with your hands down. Practice pushing your knee out as wide as you can, sinking those hips really low. And then number 2, you can work on your 1-legged squats. You take your back knee, you put it down to the floor, and then you lift out without letting that foot touch the ground, head high. Those 2 motions will help you get to the point where you can go from side to side. Next test, do you have the hip flexibility, the strength to elevate your leg straight, throw out 5 kicks, and drop it? And I know what you're thinking. Why would you even bother getting good at that kind of stuff? Because yes, I used to do that for point fighting, but it really doesn't help you with power in your kicks. You want to be able to blast straight through, but we still need to know how to control. And sometimes if we're coming up and we're like, okay, we're about here, and we know, oh, the guy's hands are a little low, we can do that little flip and actually tag them. Not going to be the most power, but you don't always need full power to knock somebody down. So this is very applicable to many martial arts styles. Take the leg, lift it straight up. Should be hip level minimum. If you can't get at hip level, you're going to be going, okay, yeah, I need some more flexibility. And then 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Finish with it straight and drop it. Other side, up, chamber, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you can do that, fantastic. If you cannot, what should you be training? Number 1, get your hand against the wall, bend your knee, grab the knee, and pull upwards. You can actually sort of push your hip forward to get that increase in flexibility. That's a great way to start the flexibility part. The next thing which you can do is either bent leg or straight leg, depending on how strong you are. Pulse up and down. Maybe 50 of them. It's much easier to do this. So if you have to, 50 there. If not, 50 here. And again, if you can do those 2 drills, build up over the month, you will get to the point where coming up and flicking out 5 times and dropping is super easy. Our next test is going to be for punching speed and power. We're not going to do our push-ups like this. That's not how we punch. We're going to come in here. Just like we load, maybe we're going down to somebody's chest or their lower stomach, or sorry, mid-stomach. So we're going to take those hands, we're going to get the elbows in tight. We can go palms, fingers, knuckles, doesn't really matter. I believe you should be able to do 30 of these. No problem. Up, down, up, down. Doesn't need to be, okay, I'm locking out all the way. Just a nice, quick pace. 30 quick push-ups. Shouldn't be a big problem for you, especially from this narrow grip, because we're getting a lot of tricep in there, which is important for the punches. I lost track of what number I'm at. Say 10 more. That one in itself, I think, will help with that ability to snap out really fast punches and build that endurance so that, okay, maybe my first 20 are really fast, but all of a sudden people start slowing down. If you can do 30 push-ups like that, you can easily go for 30 seconds of straight punches. And on 30 seconds of straight punches, if you're fast and consistent, you could probably do 120 to 150. Easy. Maybe you've been doing lots of push-ups your whole life, but you've been going wide grip, getting the chest. Not as important for fight sports, I don't think. Narrow it up if you're struggling, and you can go from your knees. You just do that thing where you're like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna go here, and then just get to this point and just do this little pulse. You could do that. You could just go full range of motion and hold at the top. That's still gonna help too. Just here, and a little pause. Pretty much everybody can do a push-up. If you can't do a push-up, make sure you build up to the point where you can, and then start getting those numbers higher. Next test, balance. Balance is so important. You might go, oh, okay, the way we're doing it is not very applicable, but it actually is. It doesn't matter what scenario it is, whether you're bouncing around, whether somebody's caught your leg and is pushing you backwards. There's so many elements of balance which are going to be so important. You should be able to pick a leg up, have your other foot here, close your eyes, and just hang out there for 30 seconds. The eyes closed is tricky. But I think I did a video recently where I talked about being elevated and going with eyes closed. That is so much harder. Right now, I would say anybody who's been training for a couple years in martial arts, you should be able to do this. If you're having trouble, put your hands up like you're carrying 2 buckets of water. That'll help you. You can constantly make the adjustments, but it would be better to just go, okay, I'll make the small shifts through my feet, through my leg. You can see it's just shifting a little bit to make the adjustments. You should be able to do 30 seconds on each of those. Like I said, it's gonna help you if you ever have somebody try to push you down. It's gonna help you when you're bouncing around and have to make those quick adjustments. It's gonna help you for things like spinning hook kicks, where you have to learn about balance while your body's twisting. You have to be able to do this. I have my kids program starting this from like 6 years old, and their balance is on point. And our last test for today is going to take a look at our hamstring flexibility, our balance, and probably lots of other factors, which I'm just not going to think about them too much right now. But you're going to get up onto one foot. You're going to let this one just kind of go back and forward, like a big clock, except on the way forward, you're gonna swing it up. You're gonna swing it up as high as you can, hopefully over head level is what we wanna be able to do. So I come up and down. It's similar to people when they just do this and they swing, except I like just going on one foot because I think, oh, okay, it's a little bit harder. And if I can get way up there every time, but just maintain balance, I think that's a great test to see, oh, I'm good and I'm able to come up and throw my front kick, or if I had to come up and do my scissor front kick to head level, all of that becomes very easy in comparison to balancing on one foot, swinging out, and of course, you're gonna see are your hamstrings flexible enough? If not, make sure you get on that. I don't like this lean forward one. I know a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people just end up rounding their back out to go lower. They're like, okay, I've maxed out, and then they, like that. They don't think it's great. I would go right down from here. I'd grab the back of my leg, pull straight, and I would change that up as well with grabbing and dragging down. Even if the leg's bent, just dragging this foot towards my head and back to here. Great way to stretch out the hamstring. You could even pull your knee towards the ground while you're grabbing the foot, and then foot towards your head, and then straight. That in itself, I think, is a great way. And then your balance, we already worked on the balance. Work on that. It'll help you in this. And you just learn as your leg's getting swung, oh, I have momentum that's pulling me different directions, and it just makes it even harder. But that's what we want. We want to be challenged. We want our body working in ways we're not comfortable with. So there we go. 5 tests, which we'll take a look at, oh, how are my martial arts skills doing in terms of flexibility, strength, and so many other little factors. Yeah, I realized we didn't really even throw a punch. It doesn't matter. If you can do those other things, everything else will naturally improve. Thanks for joining me today, guys. As always, train hard, and I will see you back here soon for another video.